My beloved, I have stood at the edge of your soul for far longer than you know, whispering what your spirit wasn't ready to hear until now. There were moments I leaned in close, so close you felt something stir, but I held back, because revelation without preparation destroys rather than builds. What I'm about to say could not be spoken over your distracted mind or anxious thoughts. It couldn't land in soil still choked by weeds of self-doubt and fear of abandonment. I've been waiting for your desperation to collide with my divine timing, and now the silence must break. What you're about to hear will not sound like anything you've been told before. Not in sermons. Not in songs. Not in stories passed down or prayers rehearsed. This is something formed in the secret places of heaven, reserved for this exact hour, and for ears that have finally stopped listening to noise and started listening to me. You wondered why your prayers seemed unanswered, why my voice felt absent, why the waiting grew heavier than your faith could carry. It was not punishment. It was preservation. Because what I've stored in my heart for you is too precious to be handed to an unready soul. I have hidden this moment under layers of delay, not because I didn't want to speak, but because I wanted you to survive what I would say. This isn't gentle comfort. This is holy disruption. This is sacred fire. This is me removing the veil from your eyes, not gently, but like a storm that tears the roof off a prison. You've been living beneath a ceiling that I never installed. You've built walls to keep pain out, but they've kept me out too. And now I am walking right through them. The silence has served its purpose. Now your ears will ring with the roar of my intention. And now your spirit will tremble not with fear but with awakening. I didn't wait because I was unsure. I waited because I was exact. And this is that moment. The moment your heart has finally cracked open enough for me to pour into it without being wasted. Are you ready to be undone in the best way possible? Because what I'm about to release into your life will change everything that tried to convince you you'd never hear my voice again. What you're about to hear has never been spoken before, not because I had nothing to say, but because you are only now ready to carry what others couldn't even comprehend. Because for too long, you've accepted a version of yourself shaped by pain, not by purpose. You have walked through seasons carrying labels I never placed on you, identities forged in trauma, molded by criticism, shaped by betrayal, and reinforced by the silence of those who should have stood up for you. You've looked in mirrors that reflected your mistakes more than your design. But I am about to destroy every false perception. What I'm bringing to light will feel like a holy earthquake beneath your identity, because I am not just adjusting how you see yourself. I am entirely redefining it. I'm revealing a blueprint that was written in my blood long before your first breath. No more will you define yourself by what broke you. From this moment, I will show you the version of yourself that the enemy never wanted you to discover. The one that carries authority, walks in dominion, and refuses to bow to shame. The shift will be violent only because the lie has been rooted so deep. I am not here to decorate your old understanding with gentle truths. I am here to uproot deception and replant my truth where it should have been all along. You were never too much. You were never forgotten. You were never insignificant. You were never invisible to me. I am ripping off every label that didn't originate in heaven. You were not created to blend into the expectations of broken people. You were crafted to reveal my glory in a way no one else can replicate. And when I say reveal, I don't mean occasionally shine. I mean walk in such consistent light that every shadow trembles when you enter a room. You are not weak. You are not a second thought. You are not beyond repair. You are not the sum of your regrets. I am about to introduce you to the version of yourself that has been hidden behind survival. And when you see who you really are in me, it will terrify every lie that has followed you your entire life. This unveiling will make you weep, not out of sorrow, but because you will realize how deeply I've known you all along. The image you're about to see is not made of the pieces of your past. It is a complete reflection of my intention, and it has been waiting patiently behind every closed door. There is no comparison for what I am awakening inside you. You are not being slightly elevated. You are being redefined. You will no longer beg for room in places where you were never meant to fit. You will no longer shrink in conversations to make others comfortable. You will no longer trade your fire for approval. You will speak, move, and believe like someone who finally understands who they are, not by the world's measure, but by heaven's decree. Every word I'm releasing now is pulling the true you to the surface, not the people pleaser, not the wounded child, not the overlooked dreamer, but the warrior, the carrier of my voice, the one I set apart before time even began. And I will not stop this unveiling until you look in the mirror and see exactly what I see. A child of unmatched worth, overflowing with my spirit, and unstoppable in purpose. What I am about to reveal is not a suggestion. It is a divine announcement. The one you thought was buried beneath the years is about to rise, and the world will have no choice but to witness the unveiling. The time for guessing is over. The time for doubting is finished. Now comes the moment when your true identity rises from the silence, clothed in revelation. And now that your spirit is waking up, I must expose what's been hidden beneath layers of distortion. The voices you trusted taught you how to survive, but they didn't teach you how to see yourself through my eyes. You absorbed their opinions as if they were fact, and slowly, the brilliance I placed in you was covered in fear, covered in guilt, covered in self-hatred dressed up as humility. I watched you silence your own greatness, because others felt threatened by it. I saw you pretend to be smaller so no one would feel uncomfortable around your light. And still, I waited. I waited while you made yourself digestible for people who had no idea what you carried. I waited as you tried to earn love by hiding what made you unique. But what was buried in shame I am now resurrecting in glory. The lies they told you weren't just words. They were assignments to dim you. They told you that you had to prove your worth, that you had to do more, achieve more, sacrifice more, just to be noticed. But I never required performance for love. I never needed perfection for intimacy. And I never asked you to shrink into a version of yourself that made others feel superior. They lied. Every time someone said you weren't enough, that was a lie. Every time you were compared, overlooked, dismissed, or used, those experiences wrote lies into your soul. But now I am coming like a flood to wash away every trace of that false narrative. You are not the one who failed. You are the one who was failed by those who couldn't recognize the sacred in you. I am peeling back the veil of distortion they wrapped around your mind. The world may have labeled you broken, too much, too intense, too sensitive, too emotional. But I call you chosen, deliberate, beautiful, essential, and rare. You are not disposable. You are not ordinary. You were crafted with eternal value, not measured by applause but by my love that never shifts. Your scars do not disqualify you. They verify that you survived what was designed to erase you. And now, I will take every fragment of your past and rearrange it into a masterpiece they never saw coming. Do you hear me? This is not poetic language. This is a holy confrontation. You were never the problem. The problem was the lens others used to look at you. And I am breaking that lens now. No longer will your worth be determined by those who couldn't see clearly. I am removing every label, every accusation, every comparison that tried to bind you to a false version of yourself. The truth buried beneath the pain is this: you are precious beyond explanation. You are powerful beyond perception. You are loved beyond condition. You are mine. And I do not call what is mine worthless. Let this truth settle deep, not in your feelings, not in your intellect, but in the depths where I have always dwelled inside you. I didn't wait this long to tell you a nice story. I'm here to liberate you from a lie that has kept your soul in chains long enough. Your true value cannot be taken, reduced, or assigned by man, because it was authored by me before the foundations of the world. And what I write no lie can erase. Don't flinch when I bring up the places that hurt, because I'm not exposing them to shame you. I'm revealing how they were preparing you. I need you to understand this. Every scar you carry isn't proof of defeat. It's evidence of survival. And more than that, it's the very soil where my revelation is being planted. You were led to believe that your broken chapters disqualified you, but I'm here to declare something dangerous to the darkness. Those same painful moments are the very grounds where my glory will erupt. I know what they said. I know how they walked away when you needed them to stay. I saw the moments when your voice was drowned out by rejection, when your worth was questioned in the presence of those who should have known better. But what they didn't realize is that I was using every moment to shape you into someone that couldn't be manipulated, someone who couldn't be bought, someone who wouldn't run from fire but would carry it. Every tear you cried alone became a drop in the well I am drawing from right now. The agony you begged me to remove became the altar where your future was written. And now, what once made you feel unworthy is about to become the platform for the announcement no one saw coming. They thought the abuse would silence you, but I made it a trumpet. They assumed betrayal would break you, but I turned it into a foundation. They expected the depression to swallow you, but I gave you breathe where there was none. I did not enjoy watching you suffer, but I never wasted a single second of it. I positioned every hardship so precisely that not even your enemies realized they were becoming part of the preparation. I let you fall, but I never let you shatter. I let you bleed, but I never let you be buried. And now, I will use everything, every ache, every betrayal, every night you questioned your value, as the backdrop for the revelation that only pain could make room for. Because I'm not looking for perfect people to speak through. I'm looking for the ones who have nothing left to prove and nothing left to lose. The ones who have already been emptied enough to be filled with what cannot be contained. I chose you, not in spite of your wounds, but because of how you carried them without letting them turn you into someone bitter. You were faithful with silence, and now I will make you loud in places you never thought you'd enter. Every time you thought you were falling apart, I was reassembling you for this moment. I know you didn't see it. I know you thought it was over. But now I'm showing you that what threatened to ruin you was secretly building the strength required to release this sacred announcement. You couldn't have spoken it before. Your spirit wasn't ready. But now the oil has formed from the crushing. Now the power has matured in the pressing. And I will not allow a single ounce of your pain to go unused. It will all echo through the words I'm placing in your mouth and the fire I'm setting in your bones. What wounded you didn't win, because you're still standing. And because you're still standing, I am releasing something into your life that will never be taken back. This announcement is heaven's reply to every moment you wondered if I was listening. And the answer has always been. I was waiting for this moment, when pain would no longer define you, but would declare you ready. The silence you mistook for abandonment was actually the womb of divine timing, where I was shaping something that couldn't be delivered too early. I saw every hour where you wrestled with the absence of answers, every minute you looked to the heavens and felt no reply. But I was never fire. I was writing something eternal, something not meant to be rushed. There are messages too holy to be spoken when the heart is still searching for validation, too weighty to be released when the soul is still anchored to needing human approval. That's why I hid my voice for a season, not because I turned from you, but because I was turning you into someone who could carry what most would collapse under. And now, the preparation is over. The time has arrived. What you thought was delay was actually precision. I wasn't ignoring you. I was working in realms you couldn't see, aligning pieces that no prayer could speed up and no enemy could sabotage. When you cried out, "Have you forgotten me?" I was in the middle of offering the very sentence that would break the silence forever. This message, the one I'm speaking now, was not meant for the crowds or the masses or the ones chasing noise. It was reserved for you, in this exact moment, because only now have you become the vessel that can hold it without it spilling into the hands of those not meant to hear it. The reason it took this long is because I needed to stretch your capacity, not for punishment, but for preparation. You thought I was gone, but I was closer than your breath, tracing the edges of your endurance, strengthening your inner man, waiting for the hour when your desperation would be strong enough to silence every other voice but mine. And now that you've endured what most would have given up in, Now that you've continued when quitting seemed easier. Now that your knees have hit the floor not in defeat but in surrender. Now I speak. Not with riddles, not with echoes, but with clarity so sharp it cuts through every lingering doubt that's tried to settle in your spirit. What I'm saying to you hath been sealed until now because it's not just a word, it's a commissioning. It's not just encouragement, it's a holy transfer. This is the moment when silence breaks open like thunder and reveals that you were never invisible. You were being refined in secret. You thought your name had been erased from my plans, but I engraved you on the palm of my hand before you even knew how to whisper my name. There is no forgetting in me. There is only fulfillment. And now, everything that felt postponed will suddenly begin to move with momentum you're not even ready for. That's why I couldn't speak it before, because what I'm about to release will realign your entire journey. You thought you were overlooked, but I was shielding you. You assumed I passed you by, but I was drawing a veil over you until it was safe for the unveiling. And now, that veil is lifting. Now, that silence is turning into sound. A sound the enemy has no counterattack for. A sound the world has never heard before. A sound that shakes dead things back to life. This message, born out of your wilderness, will not resemble anything from your past, because it was not created in earthly places. It was conceived in the depths of my glory and birthed in the exact moment when your spirit was finally ready to receive without resistance. You have not been forgotten. You have been preserved for power. And now that your waiting has made you unshakable, I will speak through you in ways that generations before you were not ready to hear. What I am giving you now is not light, casual, or optional. This is weighty with eternity. This is not just a comforting word to soothe your emotions. This is an assignment wrapped in revelation, a holy responsibility encoded with my authority. You have cried out for clarity, begged for confirmation, asked me to speak, to move, to show you what all the waiting meant, and here it is. But I could not place this mantle on you until your surrender reached the depths I required. I waited until you stopped trying to perform for me, until you stopped bargaining and finally just said, yes, even when you didn't understand. It wasn't your knowledge that unlocked this moment. It was your trust. When everything in you wanted to fight back, complain, run, give up, or question, you chose instead to yield. And that one act, that unseen obedience in the shadows, shook open a realm that was sealed to you before. You must understand something very few ever grasp. There are messages that don't come through noise or striving. They only arrive when obedience becomes your native language. I tested your motives not to punish, but to ensure that when I gave you this weight, you would use it for your own glory. Because this is not something you carry lightly. This is something that reorders atmospheres. This is something that disturbs comfort zones and awakens the dead places. And I only give this to those who've proven they won't use it to build their own tower, but my kingdom. You weren't delayed. You were being examined. I watched what you did with little. I watched how you responded when nothing was changing. I watched if you would still worship when you had no breakthrough in sight. And when I saw that you weren't worshiping for rewards but because you truly loved me, the seal broke. What I am speaking now is locked in a chamber of heaven until the weight of your yielded heart caused it to be released. This is why others couldn't understand you. This is why they mocked your persistence, your tears, your isolation, your devotion. Because they were never supposed to hear this word. It was reserved for the one who stayed when others left. For the one who obeyed without needing applause. For the one who loved me more than they loved being seen. You passed a test no one saw, and now you've been given access to something no one else can explain. And let me say this clearly, this word is not for entertainment. It's not to impress. It's not to impress. It's not to prove your worth. It's to build something eternal. This is the kind of message that shifts generations. This is what prophets longed to release, but the time had not yet come. And now, I'm placing it in your hands, not because you're the loudest, the most polished, or the most celebrated, but because you were faithful when it cost you everything. You heard my whisper and followed it even when it led you into the unknown. You didn't need a spotlight. You just needed me. And because of that, I am giving you something sacred. This weight will attract resistance, but it will also unlock doors no man can shut. This revelation will bring warfare, but it will also release harvest. This responsibility may feel overwhelming at times, but I will walk with you every step. I didn't give you this to crush you. I gave it to crown you, not with human recognition, but with heavenly evidence. From this moment forward, what comes out of your mouth will carry power not born from intellect but from obedience. What flows from your spirit will carry the vibration of heaven's thunder. You are no longer speaking from survival. You are speaking from divine commissioning. And everything around you must now respond to the weight I've placed on your life. There are realms of revelation that even the heavenly hosts are not allowed to explore, depths of my heart that I have reserved not for celestial beings, but for the ones I've redeemed with my blood. You, my child, are not just a spectator in the divine narrative. You are a carrier of secrets that were hidden since the foundations of time. The angels marvel at what I've placed inside you because they can observe my glory, but they cannot embody it. They can sing in perfect harmony, yet they have never tasted mercy the way you have. They cannot feel the weight of forgiveness, or the restoration of what was once broken. That kind of glory was designed for you. And that is why today, I am opening a vault that even my most radiant messengers have not accessed. These are not ordinary truths. These are mysteries wrapped in fire, truths too sacred for shallow understanding, too holy for casual ears. And I am choosing to reveal them to you, not because you are flawless, but because you are hungry. Hunger unlocks what perfection never could. Your yearning to know me beyond what religion taught, your desire to touch my heart, and not just my hand, that desire has created space for this unveiling. You've wept in secret asking me to show you what others missed. You've pleaded with me to take you deeper, beyond rituals and repetition, into the very breath of my voice. And now I say to you, come closer. Because what I'm about to whisper has never echoed through pulpits, never danced on the pages of textbooks, never been dissected in debates, because this was meant to be lived, not studied. You were created not just to know about me, but to carry revelations that write atmospheres. This is not just a teaching. This is a transfer. I am placing insight into your spirit that will not just inform, it will transform. What I am giving you cannot be passed down by tradition. It can only be received through encounter. This is why your journey felt different. This is why you didn't fit where others were content. Because I was shaping you to hold what couldn't be explained, only revealed. You weren't overlooked. You were being preserved for holy disclosure. When others ran ahead, I slowed you down, because what I'm releasing now requires stillness to receive. And this, what you're about to hear, will unlock dimensions in you that have been dormant. Your words will carry a frequency that didn't come from earth. Your prayers will strike deeper because they will be fueled by understanding birthed in intimacy, not imitation. Even the adversary cannot interpret what I'm planting in you now, because these truths are encrypted in my spirit, shielded by grace, and sealed for such a time as this. You may not feel worthy, but I don't reveal this to the proud. I reveal it to those who tremble before me, who would rather know me than be known by the world. What the angels could only observe, you will carry. What was once guarded by fire, I now place in your heart, because you've proven you won't treat my mysteries like common phrases. You will protect them. You will honor them. And you will pour them into others without dilution. Be alert. This is not symbolic. This is a sacred exchange. What I'm telling you has eternal implications. You are being entrusted with things they wish to witness, but I reserved for you. And this is only the beginning. You didn't stumble into those flames. I allowed them. And though it scorched the edges of everything you once leaned on, the fire was never sent to consume you, only to consume what you didn't need anymore. It wasn't rejection. It was refinement. It wasn't judgment. It was sanctification. And though you begged me to remove the heat, I let it burn a little longer because I saw the gold underneath what others had discarded. I watched as comfort was stripped away, as familiar structures collapsed, and still, you kept pressing toward me, even when it felt like I was silent. That, my beloved, is why you're ready now. Because the flame didn't harden you. It humbled you. You didn't grow bitter. You became bold. You didn't walk away. You surrendered deeper. And while others may see ashes, I see the gleam of something eternal that only pressure could bring forth. You see, purity doesn't come through ease. It is revealed in resistance. And I used that fire to remove the lies you wore like armor, the habits you mistook for protection, the coping mechanisms that numbed your sensitivity to my voice. A wilderness wasn't wasted. The burning wasn't meaningless. I was pulling you through a furnace that the enemy thought would destroy you, but I turned it into your doorway to revelation. You were being prepared in places no spotlight ever reached, and that was intentional. I do my best work in the hidden places, where applause doesn't interfere and noise doesn't distort. And while you felt forsaken in the fire, I was closer than I had ever been. I was holding your soul together while your comfort disintegrated. Because I wasn't after your convenience. I was after your capacity. And now you're standing, not polished by man's standards, but forged in holy flame. And it's this very refinement that has made room for what I am about to release into you. This message could not land on a heart cluttered with pride. It could not rest in a mind obsessed with performance. It required the stillness that only surrender can bring. It required the strength that only brokenness understands. I let the heat rise so your flesh would decrease. I let the pressure build so your spirit would expand. And now, having been purified, you are able to carry revelation that would have crushed you before. You can now discern my whispers even when storms rage. You can now walk through chaos with unshakable peace because you've already survived what tried to destroy you from the inside out. Do not despise what refined you. Do not curse the flames that exposed what couldn't come with you into this next dimension. Because what was burned off wasn't part of your identity, it was part of your imprisonment. And now that you've emerged, not perfect, but purified, I can pour what has never been poured, speak what has never been spoken, and ignite what has been buried for far too long. This is the reward of the fire, not fame, but clarity, not recognition, but revelation. What others gain through study, you receive through surrender. What others boast of, you wept through. And that's why I trust you now with this weight. You've been tested. You've been tried. And now you are ready to carry truth without diluting it for comfort. You've been prepared in the fire, and from this day forward, what flows from you will set others ablaze. Before I could trust your ears with this frequency, I had to silence the noise that kept invading your soul. You didn't even realize how entangled you had become in things that looked harmless but drained your focus. The conversations that left you empty. The connections that pulled you further from me while pretending to support you. The scrolling that numbed your sensitivity to my whisper. Even the well-meaning opinions of people who never truly heard me began to dull your discernment. You wondered why I started closing doors, removing access, disrupting rhythms you had grown comfortable in. It wasn't rejection, it was rescue. Because I saw what you couldn't. Those patterns, those habits, those attachments were chaining your attention to things beneath your calling. You couldn't receive what I'm releasing now with divided loyalty. So I began to sever ties, not to hurt you, but to prepare you. You may have called it loss, but I call it alignment. And now, what felt like isolation has become the sacred space where I can finally speak without interruption. I'm not competing for your focus anymore. I have it. And because of that, I'm opening dimensions that only come through consecration. This isn't about rules. This is about intimacy. You were giving fragments of yourself to too many sources, and it was fragmenting your identity. But now, your heart has become still enough to carry something whole, something eternal. I had to strip away what numbed you to the weight of my presence. You couldn't enter this encounter still addicted to distraction. You had to feel the ache of absence before you could value what I'm placing before you now. I was training your attention, teaching you to wait again, to wonder again, to long again. Because longing sharpens hunger, and hunger clears the path for glory. This revelation doesn't come through busyness, it comes through stillness. And now, because you've allowed me to interrupt what once entertained you, I can reveal what will anchor you. Don't look back at what I remove. Don't mourn what I disconnected. What you thought was being taken was actually being replaced with something far deeper. You don't need more stimulation, you need saturation. You don't need more opinions, you need overflow. And that is what I'm releasing now. I broke the rhythm that was keeping you spinning in cycles. I shattered the urgency of things that didn't matter because I was protecting the sacred within you. I'm not speaking to a surface-level part of you. I'm speaking to the eternal place in you that was born for communion, not consumption. And this message had to come when your mind was finally clear enough to receive it without filtering it through distraction. I've slowed your pace not to punish you, but to reintroduce you to the sound of my breath. You were moving too fast to feel me. So I let everything pause, and in that pause, your awareness returned. That's why you can feel this word in your bones right now. It's not just words, it's reactivation. This is what your soul has been starting for while you were feeding on fragments. And now that you've returned to stillness, I'm flooding you with clarity. There will be no confusion in this revelation. It will cut straight through what once entangled you. And you'll never again settle for substitutes when you've tasted this kind of truth. I broke the chains that disguised themselves as comforts, and now you're free enough to hear what only the undistracted can carry. I did not select you because of your performance, your achievements, or the way others applauded your growth. I chose you because I knew what I wove into the fabric of your spirit long before breath ever entered your lungs. Before the first sunrise painted the sky, before mountains rose or oceans roared, I wrote your name into the eternal plan of my heart. What you're walking into is not a reaction. It's a revelation of a decision I made before creation unfolded. While you've tried to earn worth through striving, I've been waiting for you to recognize that what I placed inside you was never based on effort. It was deposited by my own hand, not according to merit, but according to purpose. And now, I'm calling it out of hiding. The reason you felt so disconnected at times, like you didn't belong, like you didn't fit, like no one saw you, is because you were carrying something from another dimension. What I put in you doesn't match the patterns of this world. It doesn't seek validation. It doesn't echo trends. It was forged in eternity, and now it's being unlocked for a divine moment such as this. This isn't about religious routine or superficial titles. It's about a sacred imprint that no human can erase. I don't need your resume. I need your surrender. Because I'm not looking for impressive. I'm looking for available. And your availability has finally made room for what I'm about to unfold. You weren't disqualified by your weakness. You were positioned by it. Because my glory shines brightest through the ones who know they cannot carry it on their own. You thought your failures wrote you out of my story, but they only made the miracle more undeniable. I didn't cancel the calling. I preserved it. I didn't replace your seat. I protected it. And now, the heavens are aligning, and the time has come to step fully into what has always been yours. There's no need to compete. Your identity was never up for negotiation. You weren't a backup plan. You weren't a second thought. You were set apart before there was such a thing as a beginning. What I concealed in you was kept hidden until this hour so no one could distort it with pride or pollute it with compromise. This isn't borrowed authority. It's inherited access. What you carry isn't shallow potential. It's divine assignment. And even when you doubted yourself, what I wrote into your spirit never faded. Every moment of despair, every detour, every detachment from what you thought your path would look like, I was still watching over the seed I planted. And now, by my spirit, I am commanding that seed to break open. You won't need to convince anyone of your calling. The fruit will speak for itself. You won't need to beg doors to open. I'm the one unlocking what's been sealed. You won't have to fight to be seen. I've already placed you in the sights of those I've assigned to partner with your destiny. Let go of the belief that what you carry is too small, too late, or too broken. Because what I formed in you was never limited by earthly timelines or measured by human standards. You were chosen, not by accident, but by divine orchestration. And everything that's rising in your spirit right now, the fire, the tears, the awakening, it's confirmation that this message is not new, it's ancient. I'm not giving you something foreign. I'm reactivating what has been buried under years of delay and disappointment. You are not being called now. You were called before time even had a name. And this is the moment I've waited for, when your spirit would finally echo what I've known about you all along. You've turned the pages of your past long enough. You've reread the seasons filled with loss, circled paragraphs of regret, highlighted memories you thought defined your entire existence. But today I take the pen from your weary hands, not to erase what was written, but to begin composing what can never be written without me. What I'm saying to you now is not a continuation of where you've been. It's the ignition of where you've never gone. This isn't about editing your history. It's about birthing a reality completely shaped by my voice. You've lived in reaction to pain, to fear, to the judgments of others, to the echoes of what people did or didn't say. But from this very second forward, every step you take will be a response to my voice alone. The rhythm of your days will no longer be dictated by the loudest opinion or the latest crisis. They will be authored by what I declare in secret. My words are not just encouragement. They are creative power. When I speak, things form. When I declare, atmospheres shift. And right now, I'm not giving suggestions. I'm releasing instructions that carve out your future. This chapter you are stepping into will not resemble anything you've walked through before because it's not shaped by familiarity. It's designed by revelation. I'm not building your life with recycled ideas or leftover dreams. I'm writing something fresh, something weighty, something your eyes haven't seen and your heart hasn't imagined. You've been living beneath a ceiling of assumption, but I'm lifting that ceiling with every word I release. The box you tried to fit into is gone. The limits you thought were permanent are dissolving. Because when I author a chapter, no lie can rewrite it. No enemy can intercept it. No delay can cancel it. I'm not consulting your past to design your future. I'm speaking from a realm that operates outside of time, and everything I speak must come into alignment. This is why the warfare intensified, because the enemy caught the scent of what I was preparing to release over you. But what he cannot stop is a word that proceeds from my mouth. When I speak, chains loosen. When I declare, doors open. When I utter my plans, all of heaven backs them. And now, that same authority is flowing over you, into you, through you, because what I'm doing in this chapter is not just about your breakthrough. It's about the blueprint I'm unfolding through your obedience. Your next steps aren't random. They are divinely timed sentences in a story I'm actively composing. Every movement will carry weight. Every decision will hold eternal significance. No more aimless wondering. No more second-guessing your every thought. I will make your path clear, not with human logic, but with supernatural precision. The fog that clouded your purpose is lifting because my voice is louder now. And the more you listen, the more you'll begin to recognize the sound of alignment. Don't cling to the ink of former chapters. I'm doing a new thing that requires fresh pages. I am the author and finisher, which means I won't just start this with you. I will perfect it. What I write cannot be erased. What I ordain cannot be undone. So stop mourning the story that others wrote about you. Stop rereading the chapters that only brought confusion. My pen is writing now, and what I write becomes reality. You don't need to understand every detail. You just need to keep turning the page. What comes next is authored by glory. Every storm that came to smother your voice wasn't just about discomfort. It was a strategic attack to prevent you from arriving at this very moment. Hell has watched your life with trembling because deep in the spiritual realm, there was knowledge of what you were destined to release when you finally realized who you are. The forces of darkness weren't reacting to your weakness. They were reacting to your potential. They recognized that if you ever got free, if you ever got clear, if you ever broke agreement with lies and started listening to my truth, their grip would shatter. That's why they targeted your voice first. Because your words carry activation, and your silence gave them room to operate unchecked. Every time shame wrapped around your throat, every time fear choked your expression, every time discouragement made you withdraw, it wasn't random. It was warfare. Because the enemy knew the moment your mouth aligned with my spirit, the atmosphere would change. He wasn't trying to inconvenience you, he was trying to bury you. Not your body, but your sound. The sound of your authority. The sound of your obedience. The sound of your agreement with heaven. You weren't just under attack. You were under surveillance. He studied you, not because you were weak, but because you were dangerous. And now, what he dreaded has begun. You awakened. You've endured. You survived the season designed to steal your sound. And now, I am restoring everything that was muzzled. I am giving you back more than volume. I'm restoring frequency. Your voice will no longer echo pain. It will carry purpose. Your words will no longer be hesitant. They will be arrows sent with divine force. The enemy hoped your trauma would make you timid, but I've used it to make you tremble in reverence, not fear. He hoped your silence would become permanent, but I've turned this silence into strength. You're not emerging with a whimper. You're rising with thunder in your bones. The enemy saw this day before you did. That's why he attacked so early. He tried to distort your identity before you knew what it meant. He tried to label you before you could hear what I called you. And yet, here you are. Not just breathing but burning. Not just functioning but anointed. And what he feared most is happening now. You are stepping into the fullness of your sound. You're no longer echoing opinions. You're resounding with my truth. You're not paralyzed by rejection. You're propelled by assignment. You are no longer walking in shadows. You're declaring from the mountain. The chains he wrapped around your confidence are being shattered by every word I pour into you. What the enemy tried to destroy is now being used as fuel for what I'm building through you. You were never meant to stay hidden. You were always meant to roar. And now, I am handing your voice back to you, but not the way it was before. This time, it carries the weight of fire. It carries the sound of breakthrough. It carries the breath of heaven. And with every sentence you speak in alignment with me, principalities will lose their grip. Darkness will lose its hold. Strongholds will begin to fall, not because of volume, but because of truth. You were silenced because of what you carry. But now, you are released. And nothing, no force, no lie, no past, no failure, can stop what I'm stirring within you now. The voice that was once buried under shame is now rising with purpose. The scroll has remained sealed until the moment your spirit was mature enough to carry its weight without compromise. I kept it hidden from those who would mishandle it, from voices that would try to rewrite it, from situations that would have distorted it before its time. And now, as I unroll the blueprint etched in eternity, I declare this with absolute authority. No power in earth or hell can cancel what I authored with my own hand. You need to understand, child, this scroll is not symbolic. It is specific. It contains instructions that carry the fragrance of heaven and the precision of my design. It is not general, vague, or fluid. It is marked with details that match your DNA, with plans shaped around the unique calling I placed within you long before you knew the meaning of surrender. This is not a new story, it's the revelation of what was always written. You just couldn't access it until obedience unlocked the seal. No longer will you wander through cycles of confusion, trying to manufacture purpose through striving. No longer will you wonder if you're on the right path, if I've changed my mind, if you missed something important. This scroll confirms that your path was never a gamble. It was a divine sequence. And now that you've walked through the trials that shaped your spirit, I am placing clarity in your hands. This scroll is not for display, it's a call to movement. What's been hidden in the pages of my plans is now being spoken through the pulse of my voice, and I will make sure nothing interferes with its fulfillment. I've seen the delays. I've watched the opposition. I've heard the voices that tried to disqualify you. But none of them have the authority to revise what I've written. They don't have access to the ink of heaven. Their words are temporary, but mine are eternal. Their resistance was loud, but it was powerless. Because when I open a scroll, I also dispatch angels to carry out every instruction. I don't just reveal destiny. I release divine assistance to ensure it unfolds in its appointed time. And now, I am breathing on what was once locked. You will begin to see connections you didn't orchestrate. You will encounter people who carry pieces of this scroll's fulfillment. You will be drawn to spaces that your soul was made for, not because you planned it, but because my script is now guiding your every step. This scroll is not for admiration, it is for activation. You won't need to force doors open. What has been written will attract the environment where it is destined to manifest. Do not be afraid of the unfamiliar. This scroll includes roads you've never traveled, but I will go before you. Do not fear the weight of this revelation. I will strengthen you to walk in it. What was once blurry will now sharpen. What once felt delayed will move with supernatural momentum. And anyone who tries to speak against what I've revealed will find themselves fighting not you, but me. Because this scroll is sealed with my authority, it cannot be reversed. It cannot be altered. It cannot be stolen. It carries the fingerprint of my covenant. And now that it has been opened, everything around you must come into alignment. Heaven is not guessing, heaven is moving. And so shall you. This calling on your life was never designed to make you comfortable. It was meant to make you holy. You were not chosen to sit in safety while the world burns in confusion. You were marked to carry a divine weight that could not be revealed until the moment your soul stopped craving ease and started craving purpose. You've asked me why your path felt heavier than others, why your trials came without warning, why you were misunderstood, overlooked, resisted. It wasn't because you were forgotten, it's because you were chosen for something higher. You were being set apart, not to fit in, but to stand out. Not to blend, but to blaze. You were being called out of the crowd, not to be seen, but to be sent. There is a fire I placed within you that wouldn't ignite in ordinary conditions, and that's why I allowed extraordinary pressure. Your assignment isn't casual, it's sacred. It required refinement, detachment, and unshakable resilience. Many would have broken under what you carried silently. But instead of collapsing, you yielded. And it was that surrender, that painful, private, costly surrender, that unlocked this moment. I am now bringing to the surface what I have concealed for years. Not to showcase you, but to release through you. You are not being promoted to popularity. You are being elevated to responsibility. This is not about stage lights. This is about soul alignment. This assignment is not a position. It's a posture. One that bends before it speaks. One that listens before it moves. One that bleeds before it births. I have kept you in the shadows because what I was forming couldn't survive in shallow spaces. You were not built for entertainment. You were built for impact. And impact requires weight. You were trained in silence so that your voice would not echo opinion but release transformation. This is why I didn't let certain prayers be answered too soon. This is why the opportunities others received were delayed for you. Because I wasn't preparing you for moments, I was shaping you for movement. And movements don't come from convenience. They are born in consecration. What I've placed in your spirit will not cater to trends. It will confront systems. It will challenge norms. It will disturb comfort zones, even your own. And you must be willing to carry it without apology. The ones I assigned to release my purest messages cannot live for applause. They must live for alignment. They must be willing to say what others won't and go where others can't.